Hi guys, so today I'm going to discuss the dynamics of mechanical system 2016 final paper, question number 1 part A, because part A is strictly based upon the theoretical parts related with vibration. Because most of the time guys, you people are going for big stuffs without studying the basics, of vibration. Some people are there, they don't even know what is vibration, but they know big calculation. So it's a very good question paper. So let's see how to answer part A. So later I'll be doing part B. Okay, let's see. So hi guys, so today we are going to discuss 2015-16 final paper. So it's only a part we are going to discuss today because this is based upon a lot of theoretical parts that are related with vibration. So let's see the first question. Explain the term vibrations in a mechanical engineering designing perspective. So what is what is vibration? Vibration is a actually periodic repetitive oscillatory motion of a particular system such that it would take place by creating an imbalance in the original system, because it always creates an imbalance. Okay, so now let's see the definition. uh, uh, Oscillations that take place about an equilibrium point by disturbing the equilibrium position of an elastic solid body or parts of a fluid is defined as vibration. So guys, that is the very basics, and even if you study the course material, it is clearly explained in the course material what is vibration. Vibration is a repetitive periodic or oscillatory response of a mechanical system or any sort of a system. So that is the answer for first one. So now let's move to the second question. What is vibration isolation? Distinguish active isolation and passive isolation with necessary sketches and equations. So now you can see. Okay, vibration isolation. What is vibration isolation? Actually, vibration isolation, it is like reducing the vibration or like the mitigation of vibration by using some techniques. So let's see from the definition. Preventing transmission of vibrations from source to the ground or from ground to the object is defined as vibration isolation. Okay. So then under like isolation there are two types. The first type is called the like active type, and the other one is called passive type. So we have active isolation and passive isolation. So let's see the definition for that. Mitigation of vibrations by passive techniques such as rubber pads, elastic springs are defined as passive isolation. So if you are going to reduce the vibrations by using rubber pads or like springs, like mechanical springs, if you are going to do that by using those stuff, then we call it passive isolation. And the next thing is, it is like the using the concept of sensors, using the concept of feedback control systems. So if you use those systems to reduce vibrations, then we can call it active vibration. That means we are using like electronic control module. So let's see, electronic force cancellation method by the electric power sensors, actuators and control system. For an example guys, like feedback control system, such that there is a closed loop design. It's very important. Closed loop design for the cancellation of incoming vibrations is defined as active vibration, because we are going to cancel the incoming vibration. So that method is active vibration. So here we are using sensors, motors, actuators, like electronic signals, right? So this is the passive isolator, right? So here you can see the mass is there, spin is there, this A stands for the amplitude, right? I mean, this is the sketch. And then this is the active isolation, but here also the same mechanical thing is there, but here a force comes to play. You can see, right, P cos omega t, some sort of a force comes to play, because you're going to do the cancelling of incoming forces. So you can say introducing elastic medium between source of vibration to isolate the machine. So that's all about it. Okay, so now let's further focus about that active isolation part. So here you can see mass is there, spin is there, damper is there. Now this x is the like motion of the mass, and here we are going to apply a kind of a force. That force equals p sine omega t. So now this is very easy. Now what is this ft? Actually this ft is the force that is transmitted to the ground by using this spring and the damper. So you can write a simple formula, ft equals cx dot. What is cx dot? Force transmitted through this this damper. So what is kx? That is the force transmitted through the spring. So as you know, these are the basics guys, right? C divided by m equals 2 beta omega n. What is beta? That's a damper. These stuffs are very basics, you know those stuffs. So starting from this equation by you can like obtain this, right? Then you can put this substitution, and then you can go for this solution, right? So how you are going to get this solution? First of all, you have to like start from this, then put the necessary substitution, then to this x. Guys, I'm not going one by one. This x you can put uh, neta delta sine omega t minus y. That this is the standard notation, like, because what is this x? This x is actually the motion of the system. I mean the vibrational motion of the system is x. So to that x you can substitute uh, delta neta sine omega t minus phi. That's the standard way, right? All the stuffs are, they are in the like course material, okay? So it's not hard. So then you have to do some sort of substitutions, as you can see, because guys, how to say that, by using this equation you are going to obtain what we call that ft divided by p. Shall I say that again? So what is that ft? Ft is the force transmitted to the ground. What is p? P is the major force that actually causes this vibration, right? And that is the major disturbing force. I think here, as you can see f equals p sine omega t, but sine omega t is something that is related with the time, so p is the amplitude, right? So I think in a lecture also I did that. So by using this ft equals this equation, by putting this substitution, right, uh, you can obtain this ratio ft divided by p, right? So then you can obtain that equation for the transmittability ratio, because you know what is transmittability ratio. I told that it is like under root, right, 1 plus 4 beta squared r squared divided by 1 minus r squared plus 4 beta squared r. So I think you can remember. So that is how we are going to obtain this. See, this is the bottom part and this is the top part, right? So in every case that you know that under root part comes, right? So I think here, because here we are obtaining something, because like this part, as you can see, this part we want to convert into a, you know, trigonometric function, like something like sine alpha plus omega t minus some sort of like a sine function, right? So do you know what is this neta? What is this neta? Actually this neta equals 1 over under root 1 minus r squared plus 4 beta squared r squared, right? Guys, I think that is basics. I think you know that, right? So these are the steps, right? And what is the next thing? The same set of equation you can obtain for the passive isolation also. See, you know what is need, okay? Because in this problem I'm not going to explain everything, then the video will be getting a very high length, right? So you know this neta, right? This neta equals 1 divided by under root 1 minus r squared plus 4 beta squared r squared. Okay, what is r? What is r? That is the frequency ratio. What is the frequency ratio? Omega divided by omega n. What is omega? That is the natural frequency. You know those stuff. So then try to obtain this. Okay, you can just pause this video and look onto it. Okay, I'm not gonna say everything. So same thing you can do for the passive isolation also, right? So this is the system, and you can obtain you can put this standard equation. Guys, when you're going to put the equation, you have to follow the that relative, right, that relative motion concept, because you have to stop one object with respect to the other, right? So that's how it goes. Same basic rules, okay? These stuffs you have to remember. Here see, del equals p by k, the symbol equals p by k. You know, there's a famous movie PK, right? So, oh god, it's a very heart touching movie. Shit, you know why is that, right? So okay, so these are the basics, right? Now what is this x? This x is the motion of this m, right? So what is y? Y is the motion of this, you know, ground. Okay, that's the motion of the ground. Because how to say that, now we can get an idea about x in terms of y, or we can get an idea about y in terms of x, something like that. Guys, see the course material, all are there. I'm just analyzing, okay? Because they are asking us to tell about active vibration and active isolation and passive isolation, then obtain necessary equations. So these are the stuffs. You can pause the video and study. Okay, considerable equation content is there. Just pause the video and continue. Okay, so these are the answers actually which are obtained by me, right? So now whatever the thing you are going to do is, even for active vibration or even for like passive vibration, so whatever the type of vibration, okay, like whatever that, oh my god, this sheet is not good. So it's like this, guys, like whatever the type of vibration, like what is your target, what is the target point? Your target point is to prove that T equals under root, okay, that 1 plus 4 beta squared r squared divided by 1 minus r squared plus 4 beta squared r squared. So even in active vibration or even in passive vibration, you have to consider that certain object, then put the standard equation, and you have to obtain this relation for the transmissibility ratio. That's it. Okay, so see, this is the rest of the continuation, right? Is the video clear? This you just carefully see. Okay, what is the next part? The next part is part C. So what do they ask? State the two types of vibration measuring equipment and explain the working principle of one instrument using digital. Okay, basically there are two types of vibration measuring equipments. What is that? So relative vibration measuring equipments and absolute vibration measuring equipment. So the two major terms are, what are the two major terms? The term relative and absolute. Okay, see, you can say relative vibration measuring equipments and absolute vibration measuring instruments. So what is relative vibration measuring equipment? So that is, let's see, it's clear. Okay, vibration of one point, I'm talking about relative type. Vibration of one point relative to another is measured. If the what is this mountain point is earth, we measure vibration of other point relative to earth, something like that. So in case of absolute, you can say no reference point required. Instrument, what is this, holy? Okay, instrument wholly, maybe I'm not sure about the spelling. The instrument is on body of vibration. In this case, no reference point required. The instrument is exactly on the particular body of vibration. Okay, so let's focus on to the examples. You can say relative vibration. You can say examples. Okay, dial micrometer, electrodynamic relative vibration pickup. Then absolute vibration, you have seismic pickups, electrical absolute vibration pickup, then Frame tachometer. Okay, so so this is the sketch of seismic pickup. All in the course material. Okay, this is not magic. So what? So this is the diagram. So I will read. Vibration of earthquakes can be measured, right? And vibration of the surface where the machine is fixed can be measured. Sensitive to the direction of one axis only. I'm talking about this machine. Okay. Seismic mass is connected in series with spring and damper. Deflection of the mass lags behind the motion of the causing. Did I go wrong? Deflection of the mass lags behind the motion of the causing. I mean the one that causes it due to the inertia of the mass. I'm just here, I have just written some some short note like thing about this mass. This deflection forms input signal to the transducer, which outputs an electrical signal in propagation to deflection, because based upon the deflection, those respected equipments are producing some sort of a signal. So that's all about seismic pickup. Okay, under what category you get seismic pickup? So it comes under the absolute measuring equipment category. Okay, so now let's focus on what is this is, I think, seismic pickup. Okay, there is sort of a calculation for the seismic pickup, because okay, let's see how the internal procedure works for the seismic pickup. So here, okay, just keep in your mind what is this x, that is the motion of this m, motion of the mass. What is this y, that is the overall motion of this frame. Careful. Okay, here you can see a larger frame, some interconnected frame. See this one, this frame. So the overall displacement of this overall motion of the frame is y. So here x, here y. So but you have to apply, you are going to apply equation for x, so mx double dot equals minus k times x minus y. Why? Because you have to get the relative way, right? So apply this equation, and all the steps are there, no need to tell everything, all basic notations are there, there, so you study. Here also this part comes to play. Okay, shall I tell that again? Guys, in vibration, in this subject there are like very uh, some frequent terms are there. One is neta. What is neta? Neta equals 1 divided by under root 1 minus r squared plus 4 beta squared r squared. Other one is the transmittability ratio. What is that? Under root 1 plus 4 beta squared r squared divided by 1 minus r squared plus 4 beta squared r. So it's easy, right? You know that. And other thing is that standard displacement. What is the standard displacement? Delta neta sine sine omega t minus phi. Okay, understand? Delta neta sine omega t minus phi, as I think it's as indicated in here. I think, see, x equals delta neta sine omega t minus phi. Okay, this is the rest of the part of the the calculations of the seismic pickup. Guys, lot of substitutions are there. Okay, so go through these, right? Lot of substitutions are there. And okay, now let's move on to the next part, the D'Alembert principle. Because what is the next thing? Part D, state D'Alembert principle and define degree of freedom. You know, degree of freedom is like the different independent axes of motion. So state D'Alembert principle and define degree of freedom and free body diagram. Okay, define free body diagram. Okay, let's see the answer for that. This is the question, part D, right? It's easy, guys, not hard. As you can see, D'Alembert principle. Okay, so what do they say? This is applied to rigid bodies undergoing a planar motion. Reveals that the system of external forces is equivalent to the system of effective forces. Effective forces are forces equal to ma. You know, F equals ma applied at the mass center, and couple equal to I alpha. If it is a couple, then if it is I alpha. Okay, I is the inertia. So the transformation of the accelerating body into an equivalent static system by the addition of the inertia force is referred as D'Alembert principle. That's all about D'Alembert principle. Just study this, okay? Degree of freedom, number of independent coordinates. I mean, like it's something like, you know, if you consider a particular motion of a system, more than the axes, right? More than the axis, like number of independent variables that you need to express the motion of the system, like so number of independent coordinates needed to define the configuration of a system. So that is degree of freedom, right? So sometimes the axis can be different, right? But there is a kind of a very strong relation with the coordinate and the axis, so be careful, maybe different axes. Okay, what is free body diagram? That is a diagram that shows all the forces. Free body diagram, the diagram of the body which has been abstracted from its surrounding, showing the effect of the surrounding in the frame of forces. Okay, that's it, easy. Okay, what's the next part? It's the part E. So now let's move on to part E. Name 4 systems in figure 1. Okay, so that means they have given us the figure, so you have to say what type. Easy, na? This is part B. This is based upon control. I'll do that in another video. Okay, so look at this diagram. Here you have spring, you have damper, but you don't have any sort of a force. So what is this type? You can say this is free damped vibration. Damp means the damper is there, no forces, so free. Damper is there, so damped, so free damped. Okay, this is free damped. So this is what? This is also free but not damper. That means free undamped. The force is there. That means this is forced, but no damper is there, so only spin. That means this is forced undamped, because no damper, no, forced undamped. Here force is there, damper is also, that means forced damped vibration. Okay, that's the case. So then they ask, write governing equation. I mean, only write the equation, only to prove, then sketch the response. Oh my god, that's the difficult part. It takes some time. Okay, so let's go to the next page. These all about actually basics, right? So here you can see this is for the free damped basic equation, right? Mx double dot equals minus k. I mean, just the force transmitted through these elements. Okay, this okay, this okay, these are basics. Okay, right? Because in the examination, the most that I mean the most critical part is you guys are studying the big things, not the basics. So just study this. And then the response curve, this is the response. And now listen, now don't try to find the grandparents who invented the response curve. Okay, basics guys, you don't have that much of time, so study this. This for dam tree, this is how the response happens. This is the time axis, and also please remember to label the axis. So this is time and this is the response x. This is for undamped tree, this is for undamped force. See, something like conical shape, going like this. What for this? This is undamped force. Here also undamped is easy to remember. Undamped but free. Here also undamped but forced, right? It's going like this. Okay. So let's go to the next thing. So now we are getting the harder stuff. What is this type? So this type is damped free. Okay, this is the respected motion for damped free. Here I have mentioned some basic equations, but there is a fact, many people are there, they know beta but they don't know about beta. What is beta? C by C naught. C is the damping coefficient divided by the critical damping coefficient. Okay, some ratio. And also there are some three different curves. This one for slightly overdamped, this for highly overdamped, and so like that there are some types. Okay, so bit complex. Okay, so let's see how this happens. So it is like this, now this is free damped. Now this is free, no force but damped. So what is the equation? M, actually here what you have is M. Okay, I don't know whether you can see. Here what you have is M. Okay, mx double dot equals minus, because when t is going to the other side, mx double dot equals minus cx dot do I need to write it? It's easy guys, nothing to write. Okay, just see, mx double dot equals minus kx minus cx double dot. So when you take it to this side, all terms will be positive. Okay, so then by considering this equation, by applying the quadratic stuff, you can say c squared minus 4mk is less than 0, it is underdamped. C squared minus 4mk equals 0, that is critical. C squared minus 4mk greater than 0, that is overdamped. Okay, so these are the particular basics. C critical divided by m, that equals 2 omega n. So C divided by m equals 2 beta omega, because how to say that, C divided by m equals 2 beta omega n, you know that, and C critical divided by m equals 2 omega n. Okay, just an equation. So what is beta? Beta equals C divided by C critical. Basics. Okay, basics. So that's the response curve for that, right? Some important parts are there, some very important curves. And let's go to this one. What is this? This is damped force, the hardest part. So in the case of damped force, there are two types of response. No, so when you are going to solve the damped force stuff, we are separately going to solve for free damped, then separately for force damped, and later this is free damped, right? This is free damped, and this is force damped, because we are separately we are going to sketch. Okay, so see, but this is also this is damped, because as we learned from the earlier part, this is for damped free. So damped free is this one, right? Say this is same as this one, because this is damped free. damped free. See, this is damped free, then this is forced damped. This one just a forced damped, so you're going to combine, so you'll be getting something like this. So then if you're going to the overall sketch, I mean, like, if you're going for the overall sketch, which is forced damped, it will be something like this. The combination of free damped and forced damped. Okay, so that is the overall curve. I think that's all over about the A part. Okay, thank you.